Hey guys, welcome to the Health or High Water podcast. I'm your host, Tripp Parks, here with Alex. We are about to go into some crazy stuff here with what he's got going on. He's got multiple things. Just want to give a huge shout out to our listeners. We just broke our 7,000 download barrier here. I want to thank the audience for supporting us over the past 2 years. It's just been amazing, adding new countries, adding new states. It's just been it's been a blessing for all of us over here, and just the reach has been incredible. So I want to thank the audience as well. As you guys haven't liked, subscribed, or shared, please make sure you guys are getting in the know, because we are going video friendly here from now on, and I can't wait to talk to Alex. How's it going, man?
It's going great. How are you doing?
Dude, doing great. I'm really excited to have you on. You've got a lot of cool stuff going. You have a really cool story about how you got into health and wellness. You've got an interesting journey, and you got some meat sticks I really like you got going on. So I just want to hear a little bit about you and how you got into the current role you're in.
Well, moving from Ukraine to here, to having food that's different in Ukraine than it is in the United States. My parents always thought, meat's meat, bread's bread, and, they don't really look into all the additives, things like that. And so, not really knowing what to do with my health growing up, always trying to lose weight and, look different, and going through that journey was interesting. But after high school, becoming a personal trainer, a health practitioner, a Paul Chek practitioner, it's been like 16 years since I've been studying with Paul Chek, and becoming one of his master practitioners, teaching people about the importance of organic food and grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised meat, how to read labels, and so much time has gone by. And not finding anything good to eat, and I have 3 kids, and seeing what they're eating constantly, and so one of my clients came in one day, and I was eating raw. I used to eat raw liver, and then I started dehydrating it, and I gave it to one of my clients because they were having some blood sugar issues, and they're like, "You should make a business out of this." And then I thought about it, and I love what I do, and then one of the other things that you do to find your purpose is like, what does the world really need right now? And so, the world really needs some clean snacks that are on the go. And so, slowly but surely, 3 years ago, the idea slowly formed into this, and that's how I got into that. Here we are.
There it is. Well, I love that, man. That's awesome. You and I talked about this. So every podcast we do is a pre-podcast interview for all the listeners out there, and I was listening to Alex's story, and you go on these road trips, especially when you're trying to be healthy, and you stop at a convenience store because you kind of have to. You're on the road, and there is nothing in there that's remotely healthy or that a lot of us want to eat, trying to be healthy, right? So you took on such a noble cause of trying to fix a huge, I call it a huge issue in our society. So it's called Berski. Am I saying that right?
Berski.
So sorry.
It's all right.
So with your company, where can you see it going? Because I can see it in 7-Eleven, Walmart. I can see it in kids' lunches, especially when you're talking with, vitamin A deficiency. Liver's got a huge amount of vitamin A, and that's a huge part of your product. Where do you see this going?
I see it going everywhere. I see it in Costco. I see it in Whole Foods, and Erewhon, and Central Markets, H-E-B's all over Texas. I see it everywhere, and I see it in kids' lunches. I see it on the fields. I see it, in high school. I see it everywhere. And mostly what I see is people changing the way people manufacture food is what I really see. Is we are creating a standard where you don't have to put additives in the food based on what the USDA has already labeled as, shelf stable. And so it took a long time to convince manufacturers to try. We've ran through like 30 different manufacturers before we landed on the one we're at, who when we presented information from the USDA, said, you know what? All right, that makes sense. Let's try it, and let's see if it holds, and let's see if it's shelf stable, and it worked. And so here we are with Berski, and that's what I'm really seeing is getting this everywhere, and also changing the way people make food.
Well, also the way people snack and choose their food too. I think that's a big thing is being able to have a choice, right? Of people like you pushing that envelope, making sure that high quality foods are going where they need to be in places that have the worst food, convenience stores, and albeit. So that's where you're going with it. Can you talk a little bit about the process of how you guys make it, the ingredients that you guys use?
Sure. We use Savory Institute cows, which are regenerative, arguably the best source of where you can get cows and any kind of animals that forage. And so the process of regenerative is they restore the soil. So they put more back into the soil than they take out. And our cows have never been fed grains. Our cows have never been inside more than 60 days, which is what that pasture raised claim is. And same thing with the grass finished and grass fed, because all cows are grass fed. Most people don't know that. When you see a grass fed cow, right, what they're leaving out is what they're finishing with. So if you see grass fed or organic cows are fed organic wheat, barley, soy, whatever they're feeding them is organic. That's the only caveat, but they're not grass finished. And so since our cows fall under that never fed grains claim, that translates to grass fed and grass finished. And so we, because I can't sleep at night knowing that I'm pushing out a product that doesn't do well, which is why in 20 years of business, I've never pushed a product out, because I'm like, there's so much work, so much things to do, so much things to oversee. But now I'm at a place where I have the space to do that, and it is necessary. So then that's the cows that we get. And when I looked into the citric acids and lactic acid preservatives and how it's manufactured, I'm like, well, people have been doing this for years without using any preservatives, and it lasts. So why are we doing it now? And trying to do it. So then with the manufacturer, we grind. We use 70% beef. When people it's kind of funny because when I say that, they're like, well, what's the other 30%? And it's like, no, it's all beef, but it's 30% it's meat, and then 25% is liver, and then 5% is heart of each stick. And so we take that, we don't desiccate any of the liver, so it's not powdered, it's whole when it goes in. So it retains a lot of its nutritional value, and it's a lot easier absorbed into the system. And when we grind it all together with celery and salt and put it into a non-dyed beef casing, because I found out how collagen casings are made. So it's like, well, why don't we go back to this theme of like the cow has an organ that we've been putting sausages into for as far as we can remember. So I'm like, okay, let's put that back into an organ. So now we have basically, all beef and minus the sea salt and the celery, and that's the whole product. And then we smoke it at a low temperature, and so that way it retains, again, live enzymes in the food. And what we were talking about earlier is, having a choice and convenience and snacks and things like that. If the enzymes are preserved, which means it actually gets absorbed into your system, which means your body can use it, which means that's where that vitamin A and all those vitamins and minerals stay intact instead of being denatured. So if they go into your system, that's the whole goal, is to get it into your body for it to be used. So we cook it at a low temperature in a smokehouse, remove it, put it into a chiller, we chill it, and we put it right into a vacuum seal, and that allows us to not use preservatives. And that's how we make it.
Man, that's awesome. I mean, it's just such a breath of fresh air to see someone taking this challenge of doing right for what goes into our digestive systems. I mean, you've been doing this for 20 years. What are a few things, maybe 3 or 4 things that are core values to you as a business leader in this industry?
Integrity. If you don't have integrity, you don't have anything. A man is only as good as his word. And a lot of people trust my brand, because of who I am, and they know, the people that know me are like, yeah, this guy's always going to tell the truth. And even friends of mine, like if they can't handle the truth, then they shouldn't be my friend, because I'm going to say it regardless of how it's going to impact people. It's because my whole thing is I want to make the people that I share with, I want to make them better, because I get no benefit from telling you something that benefits your life. So integrity, truth, I don't know, those are the two huge ones that I can really think of.
Yeah.
Health is a big one.
Those are two super. Those are, there you go. Those are all huge important ones, right? Like, we're especially in the health industry, we're seeing through a lot of BS really easily, right? Supplement companies that don't really work for us, workout programs that are bogus, right? We can see through the crap pretty easy nowadays because there's so much of it, right? And you talking about bioavailability, the digestive enzymes, the actual full like pretty much full on beef stick, except you said the celery and the salt there. It's just, again, like a breath of fresh air seeing someone push that envelope and then doing it with integrity, being trustworthy in the industry, and really fighting the big guys. This is an uphill battle for most of us in the health and wellness industry, and a lot of listeners that are a lot of the listeners right now that aren't in the health and wellness industry, is especially here in America, we are up against the big boys, and it's hard with their spending, it's hard with their ads, it's hard with social media that's going on with spreading a whole bunch of mistrust, and on that, you have to be an educator yourself to really sell this product, and you have to be super well versed. What's some of the background getting into in health and wellness that sets you up for the success?
I think being mostly going through the CHEK system, the CHEK Institute. So if anyone wants to look it up, it's at CHEKinstitute.com, CHEK. And Paul Chek has been preaching holistic health for 40 plus years now. Teaching people how to eat clean, what goes on in the soil. You learn about Rudolf Steiner and his biodynamic farming practices, and with biodynamic farming, everything is closed system. And so the next thing you could do above that is going to be below that is going to be regenerative farming. There has not been a biodynamic farm that could be scaled at a nation level and international level. And so right now all of our cows come from the US, and so I don't want to go internationally yet, because I want to help the US farmers, because that's one of the biggest problems that we have, is without our farmers we have nothing. And so that's why the stick is also slightly more expensive than everyone else's, is because whatever the farmer says the price of their meat is, I buy it for that. And so because that money goes back into their hands, which means they can keep producing, they can increase their stocks, their herds, more land, and then we can sustain farming practices here in the United States. That's really important to me, because it's going to be a slippery slope once we have to buy our meat from other countries, because if our farmland is tainted here. So we need to bring that back here. So the CHEK Institute really brought that depth of knowledge, pointing me in the direction of Rudolf Steiner and other biodynamic institutes and other farming institutes, savory institutes, and people who are regenerating the soil, and showing that it is sustainable, it is scalable, it is something that every farmer should practice, and then also giving them the opportunity for having a market, so that way the farmers can raise their cows a certain way or their animals a certain way, and then have someone to sell it to, because that's one of the biggest problems, is why they sell out, is like, hey, look, if I don't grow these chickens to 6 pounds, I lose half of my revenue in one growing season. And so feed's expensive, and housing them is expensive, and all the other medicines that they need is expensive, water, tractors, all this stuff is expensive. And so when you sell something by the pound, well, you got to grow it a little faster in the time that they're being raised in, or else you go upside down and you lose your farm. So I can see where the farmers are in a tight spot, because a lot of farmers that I talk to they're aware of this thing. Like, yeah, I would love to let my cows be outside for the rest of the remaining of the time, or the remaining of their life, but it's like when you go from like 1,200 pounds to 2,200 pounds, it's like 1,000 pounds extra meat that they get. And and so the goal with Berski is to get to a point where we can tell farmers, no, leave your cows outside, don't let them touch grains, and we'll pay you we'll basically subsidize the cost of that. And then eventually, as people practice that level of farming, the price will go down, because the commodity of beef will essentially get better, because they don't have to use grains and truck grains in, which I know we're disrupting some industries, but I think it's a lot easier to let your cows and animals be outside than it is to involve oil and train stations and harvesting grains and drying them and shipping them and transporting them and using tractors to deliver them to the cows. I mean, it's like, that sounds like a lot of work.
I don't think a lot of people think about the whole process of this, from growing the livestock, or even growing the crop, all the way to market. It's a huge industry for it. There's a lot of moving parts that go into it. Prices, droughts. There's so many different factors that go into this, and I think people need to be more educated on where their food comes from. So I really thank you for explaining that to people about that process. What I got going on thinking right now is there any like state or federal grants that could help you with this at all? Is that, I'm just trying to think, because you're onto a super noble cause here.
I don't know. I would love if someone reached out and let me know. We met, Callie Means a while ago at a conference, and, haven't been able to get a hold of him. We haven't really reached out to anyone in the government. It's been pretty much, my business partner, Ricard, and I working at this for the last 3 years, and, slowly scaling, because we can make this move a lot faster with grants and funds and things like that. But at the same time, I'm really grateful for where we are, and moving, bit by bit, controlling our supply chain, growing slowly, making it sustainable. It is more stressful, yes, because I got to work as a practitioner and Berski at the same time. So I'm, burning my wick at two ends, and before we got on, I have to find time to take care of myself. So I hopped out of the sauna, the cold plunge, and so I'm without taking care of myself, I wouldn't be able to do this. But yes, I hope I can find some grants or some funding. That'd be amazing.
Well, all the listeners out there, if there's anyone that has expertise in this and would love to help Alex out and make a difference here, reach out. We'll have all of Alex's information in the copy below the podcast when this airs. So either way, click on it, check out what he's got going on. Is freaking amazing. So this is a whole new, really holistic approach, getting down to grassroots, getting back to what our needs are, pretty much at a primal level, right? And I like that when we first met, that you're trying to get to the nitty gritty of these kind of things. Now, a lot of people, at least some of the listeners here, are not really don't know what holistic really means, right? Doesn't know what a lot of, you know what I'm saying? So could you maybe explain what holistic health means to you?
Yeah. I agree with a lot of listeners. Like, a lot of these words have been hijacked, and holistic means take supplements, or take herbs. Or holistic, what really means is to be spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally healthy. And you're looking at all of those components together, and the human body and the human experience is a constant overlapping of systems, and it does take a lot to be able to balance all of these systems. But in the same thing, like in a car, a mechanic can see how a bad alternator can stop the car from working, or a clogged fuel line can cause the whole car to stop working. But that's only one system of these systems, and it's very mechanical. And with a human being, it's like the mind is going to impact the way you feel, because your thoughts create emotions, and above the thoughts is what you're wanting to experience on a spiritual level. So if you're needing, like, for anyone listening, anyone who's ever learned a lesson, like a real spiritual lesson, and they've come to terms with that lesson, they notice those thoughts and those experiences tend to go away, is because they've learned the whole spiritual lesson, which then stops creating the thoughts to get them to change, which stops getting the emotions to get them to move and to feel, because emotions are energy in motion. And so they're trying to get you to move something. They're trying to get you into a different direction, into a different state, and bring awareness to your current situation. And then, which also gets your physical body. You know, when you're angry, what do? You clench your fists, you charge somewhere. When you're sad, what do? You sit and reflect and you express. So there's these, you know, your body will mimic what the mind does. The body and the mind are very linked, and in between you'll see the emotions. And so what the mind is experiencing, the body will experience also. And then so it's combining all of these four big categories together: the spiritual, the mental, emotional, and the physical. So if you're physically sick or physically weak or physically not strong or not resilient, then the mind becomes less resilient. Or if the time is spent too much in the mind, the body can go weak. Or if the time is spent too much in the spirit, like a lot of people who are like kites without wings, or like space cadets, they notice their body's going to start performing less because they're not in their bodies anymore. And so it's learning how to see when someone's too far out in space and when they need to come back down, or when they're too grounded, they need to go back up and go marvel at things some more. You know, the shamans will say people get sick when you stop marveling at the universe, when you stop singing, stop dancing, and stop playing. And so if one of those categories is off, then it's going to create pain in someone's life. To move them into direction of remembering what that's like, is to play again, is to sing again, to dance again, to look up at the stars and go.
That's a really good answer, man. That was incredible. I mean, that's amazing. I want to get back to that. I got to do a quick sponsor ad. Hey guys, we've been working with Gene Planet genetic testing for about 2.5 years now, and we've had some incredible results. What's really cool about Gene Planet genetic testing is we do whole genome sequencing. We only know about 4% of the whole human genome, but with that, we can do a whole bunch. So as we learn more about your genes, let's just say the Mayo Clinic comes up with a new DNA discovery that your propensity for a long middle toe will automatically update your genetic test. So if you're looking to take your fitness and your wellness to a preventive level, go to www.geneplanet.com and click on premium test, enter code APT for 30% off. That's code APT for 30% off test. And if you buy a genetic test in this next month, I will do a free genetic consult for you if you reach out. So go to geneplanet.com, APT for 30% off. So back to this holistic idea, and you're based out of Texas, right?
Yeah, Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. So with that, Austin seems like a pretty progressive place. People are open, especially with health and wellness. They're pretty vibrant. They're in the city. Have you seen an uptick in people accepting this more holistic approach to health and wellness over the past few years?
Everyone's going to start where their psyche allows them to start. The people that come to see me are pretty much at their wits' end. The running joke is, I'm people's last hope, because I look at the things that people don't want to look at, or they don't have the experience to cross fields, to look at. Someone has a PT issue but are going to a chiropractor. Someone has going to a doctor for a more standard, approach to care of like the basics. And so we have to look at all the things. And so someone goes to a personal trainer when their orthopedics are off, and it's like, no, their body functions, but at the wrong, their sequencing is off. So I do notice that people are seeking, and yet it's hard for people to discern. That's what I'm noticing the biggest problem is the discernment of what the right answer is. Because all the information is there, you know, everything's out there. It's like, but what is the right information, and what is the right information for that specific person? You know, because you can have, you know, if you go on PubMed and type coffee bad, you're going to get 1,000,001 articles. And if you're going to go, you know, type in coffee good, you're going to get 1,000,001 articles to support your bias. And so a lot of that is like how many people are seeking the truth versus how many people are seeking their bias is a whole different conversation. So the people who are seeking better health, I've noticed, has increased uh, because people are at least more inclined to, you know, look for food allergies, and they're more inclined to drink water, and they're looking for things to flavor their water with, and they're looking for things to enhance mineral content, even if it's, you know, some kind of electrolytes. So they're seeking it. Um, and again, you brought it up in the very beginning, like that concept of choice. And it's like if the good products don't exist, they don't have a choice to even get the best product. Um, and and so, but the holistic, the health space has increased. I don't know how many hundreds of billions of dollars from the last 5 years. But yeah, people are looking up good, better quality food because you can see it based on restaurants. They'll like sushi restaurants and burger restaurants. They're going more to the grass fed. Yeah, you got to pay more for them. They're have gluten free, soy free options. You know, all these things. So it's increasing, 100%.
Yeah, and I've seen that too. You know, people want better choices, right? Like, hey, I know you're feeding me crap, and I don't want it anymore. And I know at least the area I'm in Cape Fear, a lot of people don't go out to restaurants really anymore because they don't have good quality food and they just cook at home. And you know, with the economy being as bad as it is, it's you know that tends to happen where people are cooking and what have you, and people want a higher quality of food. I mean, everyone's sick. I mean, my mom's sick. You know, pretty much everyone I'm around is dealing with metabolic issues, cancer, strokes. I mean, it's just everyone's affected somewhat or somehow by preventive diseases, and a lot of that preventive diseases starts at what we're eating and how we're moving. You know, as simply put, we could you know go as deep as we want scientifically with it, but that's pretty much simply what's going on. People aren't moving right, and they're not eating right.
Yeah, they're not sleeping right. They're not thinking right. They're not pooping right. They're not breathing right. And then they, you know, there's so many things.
Well, it's a slew of a problem, and it's going to take people like you and me to change the way we first think about what health is and redefine that, educate, and then you know help this next generation do better than we did, and give that torch off and cross our fingers. You know.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, you know, a lot of these were built for instant gratification, and you know, strength
Yeah.
training is not a instant gratification vehicle. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes discipline, it takes, you know, you can shortcut it, you know, by hopping on some kind of anabolics and perceiving, you know, you are stronger than you are. But that's the same as like going to get a line of credit somewhere and then pretending you have, you know, $150,000 that you don't have to pay back. And you know, that's the beauty of strength training. It's the only, you know, with money and thing, you could buy almost anything in the world, but you can't buy being strong. That's the one cool thing about like weightlifting and taking the time to be strong is you can't buy it. You could buy other people to lift stuff for you, but you have to work for it.
Well,
And
and muscle is actually being part of being taught as quality of life as we age, right? And if we don't have muscle mass, our fall risk goes up, our quality of life goes down, mobility goes down. So muscle is really, and you and I both know this, is really the secret spice to living a happy, healthy life. Is making sure that we have enough muscle to hinge properly, making sure that we're breathing right, making sure that our nighttime rituals are good, making sure that we're eating this, you know, at the same time every day, making sure we're regimented. So I agree with everything that you've got going on, and I want to make sure we see everyone trying out your beef sticks and making sure that you're getting to the right people. So where can people find you, social media wise, website? Where does all the magic happen?
Well, you can get Berski at eatberski.com. And for Berski, we are at EatBerski pretty much across all platforms. So you can find us there. You can find me at health.performance.engineer on Instagram. And for personal coaching, it's primalfusionhealth.com.
Well, we'll make sure to add all that too in the copy, so you guys can just click right on the copy and go to his website, social media, follow this amazing dude in his journey to give better choices to us. I think that's kind of been the theme here today, is making better choices, making sure that we have those options, and without people like Alex and Berski, we're going to be SOL. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We'll have to have you back on and see the amazing growth of your company. We'll be buying some sticks ourselves and trying them out, and maybe we have this. We have an ambassadorship maybe coming up with this company. We never know. But you guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Health or High Water. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and following us. We have an amazing 4th season coming out that's going to be here in October. So you guys will be hearing this in October, but this is still September for us. But we've got a lot of cool guests coming on, just like Alex here. So make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, sharing. We can't do this without you. Peace.